A former U.S. Treasury Department official who is also a senior fellow at the Peterson Institute for International Economics is here in Seoul for the World Knowledge Forum and a special lecture organized by the Institute of Global Economics. Our Kim Hyesung sat down with Jeffrey Schott for his insight on global trade and the economic outlook.
The protracted U.S. China trade spat has not only resulted in each side applying tariffs on billions of dollars of goods, it's also weighing on global growth. The IMF says the tariffs imposed by Washington and Beijing could drive down global GDP by 0.8% for next year, and the U.S. Fed says the drop in global GDP could be as high as 1% or $850 billion US dollars.
Well, the tariffs have an impact, but I think less well understood, the much greater impact is on the perception of what future growth is going to be to investors who have to make the decisions whether to invest in new plant and equipment, whether to change their supplier relationships. All of these actions are inefficient, and they waste resources that could otherwise be used more productively, and then that will have a drag on growth.
We're seeing warnings of a possible global recession. What's your take on the global economic outlook?
Well, I'd say take what the IMF estimates and deduct a few tenths of a point for all the major countries. The trend seems to be weakening, and the forces weakening growth in the major economies are sort of reinforcing each other. And when you have an impending election like we have in the United States coming up, it can lead to a lot of hot rhetoric that obviously roils the markets and creates much more volatility. So I think not a serious crisis like we had 10 years ago, but a significant weakening in global economic growth. And that's not good news for the United States or for Korea.
With low interest rate, low growth, and low inflation, some economists say South Korea could face a long-term economic slowdown like Japan's lost decades. What's your take on this?
I think just as Prime Minister Abe had a third arrow of Abenomics with structural reforms, so there's still a lot of room in Korea for domestic economic reforms that can boost productivity. And the resources of the Korean people are very, very large, very important, and they can be better used. And so while the international climate is weakening, there's still the opportunity to pursue domestic initiatives that will unlock some of the productivity gains that have been held back.
Dr. Schott added that encouraging productive investment and having a more efficient utilization of services in the whole economy, not just the manufacturing sector, will be key. Kim Hyesung, Arirang News.